a couple of notes for Escape from New York review. I thought of a few on the way up here, and what were they? Something to do with, one of them was definitely Snake Plissken with no self, and he doesn't care, and he doesn't pretend to care. So he's way above everybody else. You see, everyone's interested in technology in the film, and the president and the prison and all the rest of it, but they're missing the internal aspect that Snake Plissken, believe it or not, actually has in spades above everybody else, because Snake Plissken is not pretending. He's not pretending, and that's it. Most of the people in the film are pretending, bar a few are not. Lee Van Cleef's character is not. He's more like Snake Plissken, an older version of Snake Plissken. A couple of details about the film. It was filmed in St. Louis in 1980, I think, 1981, something like that. I think it was 81, the summer of 81. I think it was released in the end of the year in 81. I'm not quite sure about that. If that's wrong, then someone comment on it maybe. So there was a fire in St. Louis in 1977, this massive fire, and loads of the city blocks were kind of demolished with this massive fire, and they didn't rebuild it for a good while. So in 1980, 1981, they used it for the exteriors, a lot of the exterior shots. It was all planned out. When you're doing a movie like that on such a low budget, it only cost about $5 or $6 million to make. When you look at the movie, it's like, how the hell did they make that movie for such a little amount of money? But with a small amount of money, you can be very, very innovative. If you look at Escape from New York and then you look at modern movies, Escape from New York beats the newer ones hands down, in my opinion. You look at these new Marvel films and stuff, these superhero films where people have no consequences, and I don't even watch them, man. What is it, Doctor Strange and everything, this guy, Cumbercock or whatever. I'm looking at these posters and I think I would never want to watch these films. I know the younger audiences probably do, but I'm looking at them going, why would I want to watch this fantastical nonsense with these people that are just, their heart's not in it even. You can tell. They're just it's just, when you look at Kurt Russell, he's a Disney kid. He grew up in the Disney system, and I think he done the voice for the Fox and the Hound character in Walt Disney's Fox and the Hound movie. I don't know if he was the Fox or the Hound, I'm not quite sure, I can't remember, but I know he done one of them. He was a Disney kid, he done a lot of Disney films and stuff. He even did a small part with Elvis Presley years ago when he was a young kid, right? Kurt Russell is one of the Hollywood people that I kind of always took to and I liked more than anybody else, because he just seemed very down to earth, good fun, good natured, and realistic in a way that Snake Plissken really was as a character, right? So Snake Plissken operates in a way that kind of you have more respect for him, because at least he's not pretending, like I said, and this is just notes from the film, so I'm just thinking about it on the way back from dropping my daughter off. I'm just driving back home, or traveling back home, or whatever, and sometimes when I listen to these recordings back, it's bizarre, because just say even the people that would listen to them, they have no idea who anyone really is who's doing recordings and stuff. It's just nonsense. Movies are nonsense. There's so much propaganda in movies. I have a love-hate relationship with movies, because I know that they're propaganda, most of them, because they're run by Hollywood, which is run by a certain group of people, right? And they're churning out propaganda. The best propaganda in the world is propaganda that people don't look at it and go, oh, that's propaganda. Oh, that's propaganda. No, they don't know. That's why it works, right? You look at Indiana Jones and stuff like that, and you go, but you don't know the truth about World War II, just say, for instance, or the bits that they're hiding from everyone. Right, and you look at it and go it's just a movie, that's the way it is, but it goes in the back door and comes out the front without and that's the best kind of propaganda. So I have a love-hate relationship with movies. Fuck movies, and I love movies at the same time, because I try and focus on the good, positive elements in the movies, because if you had just propaganda all the time, it would be easier to be seen through. So they're very calculated. Another thing I thought about on the way up in the drive today in the car, right, was Snake Plissken cannot be psychologically manipulated. Now, if you look at the film from that aspect and his character, right, he cannot be psychological. So it's like he's he comes in on the bus, right, and he steps off the bus. And it's like they've captured someone who cannot be propagandized to. He's so selfish in a correct kind of way that he doesn't give a fuck. And everyone else is pretending to care, care about the corporate interests, care about security and all the rest of it. Snake Plissken doesn't give a fuck. And he's very admirable because of that quality. So he cannot be psychologically manipulated. He doesn't care. He's not going to pretend to care. He's not going to put other people's needs above his own because it's against nature. Within reason, of course. Even the women that he interacts with in the film, he doesn't save a lot of people. He just walks on by sometimes, right? He doesn't bother, he try and help a little bit, but then his safety is first. It's paramount. He doesn't give a fuck because he knows that giving a fuck, caring too much, which is a paradox. You have to care, and at the same time, there's this false care bullshit that everyone's trapped in because of the psychological manipulation in this cult that we're living in. Anyone that's listening to this thinks like, oh, this is just a movie review. It's a cult, dude, that you're paying into with your tax money. We all are. It's a fucking cult. Okay? That's why they go so hard on things like Waco and all the rest of it, because it's like, oh, look, there's a cult going on. No. The whole society is a fucking cult. Alright? That's what it fucking is. And they're psychologically manipulating everyone through the media. Okay? You want to question everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Snake Plissken cannot be psychologically manipulated by women, by the authorities, nothing. Okay? And because of that, he's the man that can go into the prison in New York in this fictional story of Escape from New York and rescue the president. This corporate puppet, by the way. He's not really a president. They're corporatized puppets. Right, so there's a few details that I kind of liked. Donald Pleasance, who played the president, there was a part when he had kind of like this blonde wig on in the film. That was his idea, right? I thought that was really good. Yeah, he wanted that. He liked that idea that these criminals would try and exert justice over him, their kind of justice, or whatever, over him by humiliating him and have him wear a wig and all the rest of it, right? So. And what other details? There was a couple other small little details that I kind of liked in it. It's probably missed my radar now. Sometimes I can't remember shit, But yeah, Escape from New York is interesting. It's an interesting film. I always liked it when I was a kid. I always liked Kurt Russell in it. I always liked people taking risks. John Carpenter is one of the most underrated directors in Hollywood. He made some of the best films. He's brilliant because he's single-minded in his own way, and he's a real filmmaker. He didn't go to school or any of that silly, stupid-ass bullshit. You don't need to go to school to do anything like that for a start. It's another pile of crap that they're teaching everyone, right? Oh, film school. Give me a break, dude, will ya? You don't need to go to film school to fucking make a movie, okay? You don't need to do that. It's because if you go to film school, they're going to teach you to do it the way that they want you to do it. Right, and then it's going to stifle creativity and being off the cuff and off doing it your way naturally, and making mistakes along the way. And making mistakes when you're making movies is not a bad thing. It can be a good thing as well, because you can be creative then when you make a mistake to wash around it, kind of thing. So, and that's how movies are made. It's not something you need to go to school for. You have to learn it through. Doing it. That's it. Period. You learn it by doing it. So some of the things in Escape from New York, so he cannot be psychologically manipulated. He cannot be taken off his square. He doesn't give a shit. So I wanted to go into this little theme about it to do with no self, because Snake Plissken is like the ultimate anti-hero, no self. That's what's so intriguing about him. No self doesn't care about certain things. It refuses to care about certain things. Just say even the interactions that he has with women in the film. If you look at them, there's one with his ex-wife, or his wife at the time, Season Hubley. He had a small scene with her, and she got dragged down under the floorboards by some of the parasites in the film. He tried to save her a tiny bit. There's a bit of sexual tension there and stuff like that. He didn't do too much. He didn't engage. He didn't try and save her overly. Very important to look at that. And then even the little bit of sexual tension between him and Adrienne Barbeau in the film. It's very subtle, but it was very, very, very cleverly done as well. And he liked her, but he didn't try to stop her doing anything at the end, even when she was going to basically, commit suicide at the end, he didn't try and stop her. He just gave her the gun. Do what you want. I'm not going to get in your way. So he operates through no self. There is no Snake Plissken. He's an anomaly. You know what I mean? There is no Snake Plissken. Everyone else is scheming and doing all their things, but there is really no Snake Plissken because, like I said, he cannot be psychologically manipulated in the movie. He can't be. So if there was more people like that in the world, just say for instance, then it would be very hard for them to control everyone because we're controlled through psychological manipulation. We don't know what reality is anymore. We don't look at anything through a lens of reality. Men are like women, women are like men. All right, so the way he treats women in the film is, I like it personally because, caring about things is a paradox. If you show people you care for them, right, that's an open invitation for them to manipulate you because they're on such a fucking low level. You have to understand this, right? The people are on such a, not even low level. It's like saying, oh look, I'm on a high level, they're on a low level. No, they're just so manipulative and fucking insecure and scared and don't know what they're doing, right? Like me most of the time as well. Right? So that if you openly show that you care for them, they're going to use that as a manipulation tool. I learn a lot of that through my daughter. She does all these games with me, and I'm looking at them going like, wow, dude. Like, people are not aware of what they're doing, but it's like this protection device for yourself. So no self doesn't need any of that nonsense. So I learn a lot from my daughter, the way she tries to manipulate me through silence and through loads of little word games and stuff like that. Loads of little things to try and make it awkward in the home, even in the car and stuff like that. So, and these people that care for you, I'm putting quotation marks up here, you can't see it, right? Care for you, will do all these games, so you don't want to openly show that you care for anyone. Why would you? It's a paradox, right? Like, it can be inside, like a feeling can be there inside, right? But you can't tell anyone about it, right? Because they'll take you down because of their level, right? So I like Snake Plissken's play on things because he understands people, he understands himself, he understands reality, and he understands that his greatest asset is to not be in his own way, and he's not in his own way in the film. It's an extreme movie, but it works because it's cartoonish in a way because of the setting, but at the same time it works because Snake Plissken cannot be psychologically manipulated by anything or anyone around him. He can't be impressed with the Duke, just say. He can't be impressed with the president. He can't be impressed with what other people, he knows that people want things for him because of the circumstance, but they will leave him, like Brain in the film done earlier on in the film, through a backstory story. They left him. Given the circumstances, they will leave him. So he's not in any delusion about human beings. They want to use him to get off the island, but he knows that given the right circumstances, they will leave him. There was an interesting scene in Escape from New York when the opening scene was filmed, a bank robbery scene, and his friend was killed by policy enforcement, which are corporate cops. All policemen are corporation, right? They're corporate cops. They're not public servants, right? So, and he didn't leave his friend there. It's an interesting scene because what I just said about them leaving him if he was in a different circumstance, different situation, right? But they cut that scene. You can see it on YouTube where they cut the scene where he does a bank robbery and his friend gets killed, and they cut that scene from the movie. Good scene as well. I kind of liked it, but John Carpenter was right to cut the scene because it didn't work as well. They must have put a lot of money into that scene and stuff like that, but they cut it because it just didn't work. And that's what's really good about John Carpenter and people that make movies good and stuff like that, is that, like, even if the scene's been filmed and it's good and all the rest of it, it still just didn't tally with the flow of the movie. It works better the way it is now. And we're right to cut that initial scene. You can see it on YouTube. It's interesting to look at. So yeah, so like Escape from New York, yeah, he cannot be psychologically manipulated. Cannot be. By women, by people around him, anything like that. People are psychologically manipulating you all the time. I'm telling you right fucking now. Whether you choose to believe it or not is up to you. I'm telling you. Right? 100% fact. Everyone that you know, everyone, no exceptions, none, zero, zilch, nada. Everyone that you know, everyone is psychologically trying to manipulate you. Everyone. When you understand that, then maybe you can start to get on with people in the right way, because like Snake Plissken, he's not in confusion about what they are. I yield.